Like you, if you're a totally obsessed tennis player, I have been watching the first week of the U.S. Open, and it has been awesome stuff. I've really enjoyed myself as a fan watching, and so I just want to go through my top takeaways of the first week of the U.S. Open, and let's get right into it. So, first of all, the king of tennis, Roger Federer. He comes out his first match and he looks awesome, all in the black, and everybody's pumped up and expecting, of course, a 3-set blowout victory. And then he comes out and is a little shaky, I guess a little shaky to say the least. He wins the first 2 games, which look pretty good, and then all of a sudden started to spray a bunch of balls and lost the first set. But then, it can't be underappreciated how good he is at making adjustments. How many times have we really, when you think about it, seen Roger lose a set or even 2 sets, not panic and come back and win? And he made that win end up looking really routine. And then the next match, he loses a set again. And now everybody's starting to make a big deal, like, are the wheels finally falling off of Roger Federer? And what I was thinking is, okay, it's the next 3 sets he's smoking these players. So there's no real reason if you're a Federer fan to be pulling the panic button. And so much of the tour would kill to have what people are, panicking and thinking Roger's going through a tough time for. He's dropping a set, but then he's winning pretty handily and he looks very sharp. And one thing that really stood out, I got to go to the Western Southern Open and watching all the pros play, because you're just seeing Roger win and Novak win and Rafa win, and those are the players you really don't want to watch all the time. You can tend to underappreciate how amazing all these players are. But when you go to a tournament and you watch them live, it really slaps you in the face like, holy cow, everybody who plays on the tour is freakishly good, unreal. And so it's just amazing to me how Roger is still so head and shoulders above, 99% of the tour, with the exception of obviously having his rivalries going with Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal and Murray when he was healthy. But Roger still looks so sharp, guys. And after those first 2 matches, which, may have been good for him, he is starting to just breeze through. He played Goffin today, who I watched, and I got to watch him in Cincinnati, and that guy's amazing. And Federer beat him 6-2, 6-2, 6-0. I cannot stress how scary that is. So Roger's looking great. He faces Dimitrov next, and you expect him to get through that. And then, things, obviously, the semifinals, everybody's looking forward to the semifinals between him and Djokovic. So let's get into Djokovic next. I mean, Djokovic, he's got a tough road ahead of him, especially if the shoulders, it's the left shoulder is not holding up well. That's going to be a tough ask, as now he's got to beat Wawrinka. I'm making this before the Wawrinka match tonight, and that's going to be tough. And then he potentially might have to face Medvedev, who he lost to in Cincinnati. But, one thing is, the more I watch Novak, the more I love him, the more I wish everybody else would love him. He had the best line of the tournament. And there's been some great lines. I mean, look at Osaka and Coco. But to me, he had the best one-liner when he's in the tunnel and the interviewer's trying to get him to say something about his shoulder. And he obviously doesn't want to talk about it before he goes on the court, which he shouldn't. And then he says, I'm here, let's play. And I just love that from Novak. And I just wish the media would focus more on the positive of what Novak does right. He was on the practice court and got into an altercation with somebody who's back behind the screen. And he must have been saying some really not nice things to Novak, because Novak, I've got to watch Novak work behind the scenes a lot at tournaments. I mean, as far as, not that I have any special privileges, but, going to practice courts and seeing the way he treats kids and everybody, he's so great to the fans. So that must have been, some kind of jerk back there. And Novak said, I know how to find you. I'll come get you, or I'll come after you, or something like that. And of course, that was a big story. But, what about after the practice when Novak doesn't know how his shoulder's going to respond. He doesn't know how it's going to go when he goes out there on the court. And he stays there after his practice, after he gets into an altercation, and he signs 1 million autographs to all the kids. That's what I wish was more focused on with Novak. He shows up to the grounds that day before the match. And again, this is before he's even hitting the ball. He does not know how the shoulder's going to respond. He walks on the grounds with a smile on his face, greeting everybody. The guy is a class act. If you go to YouTube and you really, really study what he's doing off the court, all the charities he's involved in, all the way he treats his fans, you can't help but like the guy. And so I wish Novak the best. I'm a Fed guy like everybody, but I am generally happy for Novak also when he wins, and especially after you get all into the heat of the battle and you're rooting for Roger at Wimbledon, then Novak wins. It's a little bit of a letdown, but then when you let the dust settle and you really think about, this is a good guy who's representing our sport and is at the top of his game. And in my mind, when he's at the top of his game playing his best tennis, he's the most unbeatable player of all time. Speaking of another unbeatable player, let's get to Rafael Nadal. Now, Rafael Nadal has had a very quiet and easy first week. And one thing that's kind of interesting, he's blowing out his competition. No one's being more efficient on first serve percentage of points won and second serve percentage of points won. And yet the announcers are saying, well, it wasn't a pretty performance. It wasn't the best performance, but Rafa's through. And I'm thinking, okay, Rafa's got like an amazing draw right now, and he is smoking through the competition. I think he's playing great. I think right now, if everybody were to draw up the way they'd want things to go, Rafa's got to feel really good. Now, of course, I believe he's going to run up against Cilic here. Let me just take a look at the draw just to confirm this. He goes up against Cilic, which, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, here is Marin Cilic again. And it's kind of interesting because he's somebody who you have to take seriously, because he's one of those players where it does not matter what he has done the previous 6 or 12 months. It seems like once every year or once every 2 years, he gets hot and is challenging the best players in the world and getting out of nowhere, all of a sudden there he is in another semifinal or final of a Grand Slam tournament. And he does match up very, very well against Rafa, as far as Rafa's kryptonite might be, bigger guys who can hit the ball flat through the court. His big topspin does not affect the taller guys as much. Now, if I had to bet just at obviously how consistent Rafa is, what a champion Rafa is, I think he actually looks great. I think he's healthy. I think his confidence is high. I'm going to pick Rafa there. But, if there is an upset on the road to the final for Rafa, it would be against Cilic. If he gets through Cilic, you're going to just pencil him in for the finals. I don't think forever anybody left in that half is going to touch him. So I'm pulling for Nadal. I think the more that those big threes get to the semifinals, get to the finals, we just love it. We can't get enough of it. We have to appreciate it. It seems like it's going to go on forever, but it's not. So just keep appreciating these great, great talents. All right, so let's go to the next player who I just have thought, wow, this guy is good. Like, he's really good. And that's Medvedev. And Medvedev had a tough match with the crowd the other night. And just kind of, not that my advice means anything, but just some advice to him is to be careful, because I see what's happening to him, what happened to Novak early in his career. There was a really unfortunate incident at the U.S. Open. You can look it up after Novak beat Andy Roddick at the U.S. Open, which really was no fault of Novak's. Roddick seemed like he was a really good buddy of Novak. They did the U.S. Open Kids Day together. And then all of a sudden, Roddick is throwing Novak under the bus, saying things about his, way that he would call for trainers and making fun of him, saying he had SARS, bird flu, all this stuff. Needless to say, Novak didn't like it, went out there with a mission, beat him, was asked about it, and said it felt good to beat Andy in front of his home crowd.
Michael here from Novak. Michael.
All right, Teddy John, Novak, great match. You're back to your second straight U.S. Open semifinal. Way to be. What's your thoughts tonight?
Thanks for my box and all the fans who were supporting me tonight. I know there were not more than Roddick's, but I'm really happy, you know, playing against Roddick and his court and in his ambient, and this is like his city, his favorite tournament, so to win against him is a huge effort.
I'm sure it was. The first 2 sets, you came out smoking. And then what happened in the 3rd set there? I thought it might just be 3.
Well, obviously, you know, Andy was saying that I have 16 injuries on the last match, so obviously I don't, right?
Didn't look like it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, right. Like it or not, I mean, it's like that. So,
you know, and obviously the crowd didn't know the backstory, and really that's the start. A lot of people started booing him, and I think a lot of people didn't like Novak after that, but they didn't know the backstory. Well, Medvedev, kind of the opposite. I mean, he did it in front of everybody. It wasn't any backstory. He's ripping towels out of ball kids' hands. He's throwing his racket towards the umpire. He's bashing a racket and looking at somebody that he looks like he's upset with. So he can appear to be evil, but you know, I hate to say it. I mean, I know the feeling you can have on a tennis court where you want to rip towels out of people's hands, where you want to bash your racket. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that the game is frustrating. And so he got a lot of boos after the win. And I just think, you know, since it's not his first language, it's in the United States, the crowd is all of a sudden jumping all over him. And really, if everybody's booing you and you're you gotta give him a break. He's a kid. Like, how do you handle when you have 10, 20,000 people booing you? I thought his response was actually, you know, pretty cool. Like, hey, bring it on. You guys are the reason I won. I was exhausted. And if you guys wouldn't have done what you did, I probably would have lost. And, you know, maybe this energy is going to make me win the next 5 matches, which Medvedev could. Out of all the young next-gen kids, Medvedev, to me, is the guy who's the real deal. He's the one who wants it the most. He's the most consistent. And being that play seems to be more going towards defense, consistency, but yet like aggressive consistency. Like, he's like the blueprint of what's winning right now. He doesn't miss. He's extremely mentally tough. And he has fire in the belly. That's why you're seeing him bash rackets. That's why you're seeing him rip towels, because the dude does not like to lose. So give this kid a break. If you want to see more of what I think is natural personality, is watch after he lost to Kyrgios in Washington, how classy he was. I think this is a good kid. Don't judge him too early. He's still a kid. He's speaking another language in front of booing fans. You know, give him a break. See how it develops over the years. Okay, don't prejudge him. Now let's go to the next guy, Kyrgios, who I keep trying to like this dude because he is must-watch TV. He is extremely talented. I got to watch him when he blew up and got fined $113,000 when he played Kachanov in Cincinnati. And one thing that struck me is this guy is so talented. He's oozing talented. He's oozing entertainment, yet he's a train wreck. And the things that just frustrate you is that he says things like, I don't want to be here. Well, if you don't want to be here, then don't come. Like, you know, that's just a defense mechanism to where I don't want to see how good I can actually be. And until he gets over the fear of failure or the fear of success, however you want to look at it, you're going to see a guy who has possibly the best talent on the tour always losing the first week. And so let's move on to the next player. Stan the man. Stanimal. Now, if you're a Stanimal fan, you got to be excited what's going on out there. Again, I'm making this before the Djokovic Stan match. And so however it turns out, one thing that you're noticing is Stan looks like he's back to classic Stan. He looks like his legs are under him. He looks strong. The backhand looks great. Everything looks like it did back in 2017. I think if he can stay healthy, we're going to get another couple of great years out of him and maybe see him in another semifinal or final or even holding the trophy. So Stan, come on, man. Keep doing it. You're great for the game. Hey, let's get into the women of the U.S. Open. And I put a post up the other day. There was this great video of Caty McNally and Coco Gauff after their win, doing their version of the Bryan brothers bump. And I was thinking, wow, just overnight, to me, the women's tour has become more interesting, more fresh, more entertaining than the men, possibly, especially with the young ones. And so I just love what's happening on the women's tour right now. I am all in. I love it. I'm watching it. I'm a fan. And so let's start. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Coco, but I want to start with Caty McNally for a couple of reasons, okay? Number one is I got a special connection to the Caty McNally story in that I go and I run a masterclass clinic at Harper's Point Racket Club, owned by Steve Cantardi, the club at Harper's Point. And Caty grew up playing there. Her mom Lynn coaches there. I mean, she's a real coach's coach. She coaches all day long and coaches all levels. She loves to teach. And both John, her son John, and Caty have turned out to be phenomenal players. And watching Caty play, which I've heard about Caty now for years, and I see her practice. I've been on the practice court with her, and I'm blown away at her talent. But I always wondered, well, how does this match up against the best players? And I see her play Serena, and what I'm seeing is she's going to be around for a while if she stays healthy. I mean, that's the whole knock on wood for a lot of talented people. Anybody on the tour, they got to stay healthy to do what they can do. But what I'm seeing from her is, wow, a lot of tools, beautiful serve, what an amazing slice backhand, loves to finish at the net, which a lot of men and women can't do these days on tour, especially making it look so easy, so natural, and so eager to get there. And what I'm seeing here is easy power. You know, Serena was kind of pouty after that win against Caty, which I'm going to talk a little bit about next. But one of the reasons why she was making a lot of unforced errors is they go toe-to-toe, and Caty's ball, to me, looked a little heavier, a little faster, making Serena a little late. And that's a good sign for somebody who's a young 17-year-old, because you never know. It's not a guarantee that you will grow into easy power. And I've been watching her. I've known about her maybe since she's 15. And I've been I think I was on the court when she was 15, hitting her with her brother. And that was one of the things that struck me. It's like, wow, she rocks it. And to see her rock it against Serena kind of confirmed to me that she is the real deal. So, and a class act. I hope you've been watching. I know you've been watching the Coco story, but I hope you're watching the Caty story too, and seeing how cute and fun and saying the right things and the smile and the energy. Get behind her, because I'm praying, I'm hoping she's going to be around year after year. We're going to love watching her. Okay, let's get into Serena now. Now, lots of times, even last year, and I got a video that a lot of people hated on me because I thought Serena, overall, I guess I'd say I'm a fan. I've mixed it, kind of like Kyrgios. I go back and forth. Do I like her? Do I not like her? Certainly a great champion, greatest female player of all time. You could say possibly the greatest champion in tennis of all time. Doesn't matter, man or woman. But as far as, last year she behaved poorly in the final. There's no way around it. She behaved poorly. Did she deserve to be defaulted in that moment, especially when you see a lot of the tantrums going on this year? People are getting away with a lot of stuff and they get to finish the match. I thought Serena should have been able to finish the match last year. But the bigger issue is I just wish she would show a little more class, especially to our American hopefuls. She is one of the things that make her great, or her biggest downfall. I mean, Serena, I hate to. I mean, she's all about Serena. She is somebody who is all self-involved in herself, and so when she doesn't play well to her standards, she can't see the big picture. And I thought her handshake with Caty at the net was kind of like weak, to be honest. I thought she should have gave her a much warmer greeting to welcome her into the tour, the sport of tennis, the big show, because Caty played a great match. And then she said something like, when she was asked to assess her performance, like, Serena, what's wrong with you? You're missing just not really classy. And the thing is all these girls who are becoming women who are on the tour, a big reason they're on the tour, Serena, is because of you. They look up to you. They respect you. When they talk about you, they say great things about you. No one really speaks out about Serena, especially the announcers. I mean, the fans do. I think the fans are it's very polarizing. You either absolutely love Serena or you're not the biggest fan of Serena. But the commentators, the overall sport, the corporations, and the players all are very respectful, look up to her, say she's the greatest, say she's a great person. Well, I think now that she's going to be passing the baton over these next couple of years, it's time for her to step up and show her class as she passes the baton and she sees this young talent come up, especially from her home country. So I was a little disappointed in the way Serena behaved, not necessarily in the match, because I don't mind if you're screaming, yelling, even smacking your racket against the ground. You're a competitor. She's a fiery competitor. That's what makes her great. But after the match is over, I would just like to see a little more class and poise from her, especially considering the moment. You know, I know Coco, it was all about her. It was her moment, but Caty's just a couple years older, and I just wish that would have gone differently. Okay, let's get into who everybody loves and who I'm in love with, just like the rest of the world, Coco. We need Mo Coco. I love Coco. What I love about her is she is a fighter. You can see she's just a true competitor. That match that she played before she played Osaka was one of the most entertaining matches I've seen in a long time. I mean, the way that she was grinding and diving on the court and just fighting, and the emotion and the energy, and then the love that the crowd gave her after the match, and then the love she gave back to the crowd, and the true appreciation, the true energy. And when you watch her parents being interviewed, you know she's coming from a good place, that she's grounded, and that everybody around her camp, it seems like they're saying and doing all the right things. And again, of course, I'm hoping for a long, happy, and healthy career for Coco. The sky seems to be the limit. If I did pick out anything where I'm like, it will probably come, but it's not a guarantee, is what I'm seeing from Coco. If she does have an Achilles heel at this point, especially watching Osaka last night, is I thought that she's not, and of course she's 15, so this is probably the main reason. She'll probably grow into her body. She'll probably develop the easy power. But at this point, she doesn't have it. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to get it. The serve looks good. The backhand looks amazing. The forehand does not look like easy power's coming off that racket to me. It looked like she had to force the power against Osaka, and therefore she made more unforced errors than she is characteristically making. So just look out for that over the next couple of years as she develops. Will the easy power start to come? And if the easy power comes with her movement, with her desire to win, with all the other skills she has as far as being able to mix up paces and spins, and, you know, a great tennis mind she seems to have as far as not only decision making, but just the power of the mind, the power of positive thinking, Coco could do some amazing things, bigger than she's already done, obviously. So that was awesome. Now, I want to get into Naomi Osaka. Osaka, you showed your true colors last night, and they are beautiful. You know, with Osaka, it was very touching and endearing when she won the U.S. Open last year, and it was too bad the way it went at the end. But then Serena was great on the podium. I got to give Serena credit for that. She was great to Osaka on the podium, and Osaka with the tearing up. And sometimes I've just been wondering over these last couple of months, like, you know, is this real? Is this kind of like just so sugary sweet and almost childlike behavior? Is it real? Is it authentic? Is it an act? And last night, she showed it's real. If she has a downfall, she might not have enough of a killer instinct to be a consistent Grand Slam performing champion, because a lot of champions, they are a bit selfish. She even said before she went on the court, she almost cried because she was watching Coco hugging her dad before she went on the court, and that almost choked her up and she started to cry. So, I mean, this is a real, you know, she just has a huge heart. maybe almost too much heart for the sport that she's in as far as feeling for others. But it's a beautiful thing to watch. And I really hope that as the years go on, she can develop this, the balance like she did last night so beautifully as far as being an ultimate competitor and warrior when the points are going on, and then turning it off and becoming this kind, caring, feeling person that we saw that was so beautiful and refreshing after the match. So Osaka, I was already a fan of you, but man, you just put it through the roof for me last night after watching what you did. I thought that was awesome. Okay, now I want to talk about somebody who's kind of under the radar, shouldn't be, because she's made some big moves this year, and that's Andreescu. Bianca, she is really good. And to me, she's my dark horse to win the U.S. Open. There's so many stories kind of overshadowing what she's doing as a young player on the tour. But I think that she's got that balance. I think she's got that fire in the belly. I think she's got the big shot making. I think she's got the defensive skills. The only thing you have to wonder about is, these injuries that she's having as a young player on the tour. Lots of times those become recurring. Lots of times they show up at the worst time. But, man, if she stays healthy, I see her holding up some Grand Slam trophies, and it might be next weekend. So that is just awesome stuff. I just am so excited about the women's tour right now. And so I have a wish list. I have 3 wishes that I have created for these young women. And that's number 1 is to win. Okay. Number 1 is I hope that everybody that we're seeing that's really getting a lot of attention will, as the years go on, win some big tournaments, win some majors. I think it's harder to do now with social media and the early attention, the way that the media just jumps on stories, and it's so hard to focus with all that stuff going on around you. And so I'm sure focusing has to be harder than it's ever been before. And so I want them to win, because when you win, then the legacy grows and all the other good stuff comes along with it. And you just they can really put tennis, which, let's face it, I think it's been struggling a little bit in popularity. But I got some great energy this week from tennis. And I think the more that people see this, it's going to grow the game a lot. Okay. I think we'd have another big boost, especially on the women's side of tennis. Number 2 is I hope that they keep supporting one another. As the years go by, these rivalries are going to intensify, and I just hope that somehow they can keep the perspective of that they're all great young ladies, they're all competitors, and that they all keep supporting each other. And it's just so contagious to watch. And number 3 is that if they could possibly, and again, when you get so much attention from the media, it's so hard to do, to stay humble and grateful like we're seeing. I mean, these girls, since it's come on so fast, they're still so humble and so grateful. And again, when you become a big star, it's like the monster is almost being made, where, you get everything you want and people are banging over backwards to give you stuff and keep telling you how awesome you are because you are awesome. And so it can, have you become jaded, and you can lose perspective of who you are, and these ladies. So I don't think they're going to lose it. I really think it's genuine. I think they're just awesome. And so I'm super excited. So that's it, guys. That's my feeling of the first week of the U.S. Open. I'm looking forward to the next week. And if you like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to hear more podcasts, get on my email list, because I'm doing podcasts not only on tennis, but on my life and on kind of some of the business things I do behind the scenes to be able to create an online following like this. And another great reason to get on my list is that Tennis Con 3 is coming up October 20th, live from Newcomb's Ranch, which is, it's like a tennis field of dreams. We have the greatest legends of the game. And what we do is we interview and we get instructional pieces from the best coaches on the planet to help players just like you get to the next level. And this year's theme is Breaking Bad. But no, it's not that Breaking Bad. Not the Breaking Bad, the movie, which I cannot wait to see. What's going to happen with Jesse? Is Walt still around? Did he fake his own death? But it's actually going to be breaking your bad tennis habits, because I think as we get older, okay, that our bad habits become more exposed. Things that you were getting away with maybe in your 20s and 30s and even 40s, all of a sudden they're being exposed as you might lose a step. Things like that. So, but so the reason that you're maybe not doing as well on the tennis court as you want to is not necessarily because, you're getting older. It's that your bad habits are being exposed. And so if you can clean up those bad habits, you can start to see a spike again, moving in the right direction, your game moving in the right direction. So that's what we're going to do for you in TennisCon 3. And we got some amazing instructors like Rick Macy, Gigi Fernandez, Essential Tennis, Fuzzy Balls, Jeff Saldenstein, online tennis instruction, new guys like Racket Flex, time value of tennis, 15 points of tennis. I mean, just so many great instructors, the best of the best, okay? The best of the best. So make sure that you sign up. And the way that you can sign up, we're going to give you a free ticket to TennisCon. And they're not available yet. But if you get on my email list, what I have for you right now is to get you on my email list, I'm going to give you a 8-part series giving you the 5 big rocks of tennis. What are the 5 big fundamentals you need to get to the next level? And so it's a great training series. You get it for free. And if you're on my email list, I'm going to send you a free ticket when TennisCon 3 comes out, which you're going to love, because it's basically like, I don't know, we'll probably have like 16 hours of free tennis instruction that you can get. And of course, if you want to sign up for the lifetime access pass, if you're a smart tennis player, you'll do that. You can do that as well. So that's it. It's Pete from Crunch Time Coaching signing off. I hope you enjoyed this podcast.